Good evening, my name is Luis Rivera, and this is The Real Report. First up this week, Quentin Tarantino's The Movie Critic has been scrapped. This was supposed to be Tarantino's 10th and final film, and was supposed to bring back a lot of his old characters from his old films, including Brad Pitt from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This was not the only character that was supposed to come back for Tarantino's final film, but now that it has been scrapped, we will never know what the other characters were. Tarantino felt that this was not the right film to be his last. I am very excited to see what he will do for his last film. For a long time, he was very interested in Star Trek. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Martin Scorsese, fresh off of Killers of the Flower Moon, is working on a Frank Sinatra biopic, starring his star of Killers of the Flower Moon, Leonardo DiCaprio, as Frank Sinatra, and Jennifer Lawrence as Frank Sinatra's second wife. We do not know how long of a lifespan this film will cover. Will it be from Frank Sinatra's childhood all the way to his death? Will it cover his mob and mafia connections? Will it cover his relationship with Sammy Davis? We do not know. All we know is that the film should be coming out by 2025, maybe 2026. Continuing talking about Martin Scorsese's future projects, he is working on a film about Jesus. We do not know what part of Jesus' story he's going to cover, if it's going to be like the temptation of Christ, if it's going to be like the passion of the Christ. We do not know. What we do know is the actors in contention for the Jesus Christ role, and those are Andrew Garfield and Miles Teller. In my personal opinion, I believe that Andrew Garfield would be a better choice, and then Miles Teller would actually be a good apostle to Andrew Garfield's Jesus, but it really does depend on which part of his life he covers. We do not have any information on that yet, but I'll keep you updated. Ryan Coogler's next project after Black Panther Wakanda Forever will be a film set in the Jim Crow era about vampires, apparently versus the KKK. We do not know any more information about this project except that it will be starring Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld. Michael B. Jordan apparently playing one of the vampires, and as you can see in this image, looking a lot like Blade. A lot of people have theorized that it was actually a failed plot for the Blade film when Ryan Coogler is working on Wakanda Forever. If this was a failed plot for Blade, well, too bad on Marvel, as Ryan Coogler will now be making Blade before Blade is made. Blade has been delayed so many times, where right now it's set to come out at the end of 2025 but has no release date, that by the time this film comes out, Blade will maybe even be old news. For all we know, Michael B. Jordan could ended up being a better Blade than the one in the MCU. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Steven Spielberg, the creator of the blockbuster, is working on a new original film. After working on a lot of more indie and personal projects, he is returning to the area of blockbuster with an original film based on UFOs. Steven Spielberg has been very vocal over the years on his thoughts on UFO politics and how the government has recently disclosed a lot of information, how they've hidden a lot of other information. So it'll be very interesting to see what angle he will take to this UFO film. If it'll be about real life UFO mysteries and the documents, or if it will just be about aliens coming to Earth like Independence Day. We do not know, and I'm very excited to find out what it will be. In video game news, for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the final cast member has finally been added with Keanu Reeves, who will be playing Shadow the Hedgehog. Teased at the end of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Keanu Reeves will now be voicing the titular character. This character I know a lot of Sonic fans are very excited for, and I cannot wait to see the character with Keanu Reeves' voice. The old rumor was that it was going to be Hayden Christensen. While I believe that both of them would be a great cast, Keanu Reeves is the better choice, and I cannot wait to see that in theaters later this year. Margot Robbie is collecting toys and board games licenses as if they were the Infinity Stones. After the box office juggernaut Barbie, she is now working on films for The Sims and Monopoly. We do not know plot details for The Sims, but for Monopoly, we do know that the film is apparently going to be based around the titular character, Mr. Monopoly. Who will play the character or what the story will be, nobody knows. A couple years back, a Monopoly film was announced based around how the board game was created. That film has now been scrapped. But will Margot Robbie be able to repeat the success of Barbie? Barbie was the highest grossing film of 2023, and if she is able to repeat that again, it would be huge box office numbers for her career. As she has never really had a huge box office hit other than Barbie, this would really help boost her career as a producer especially, where she has been extremely successful. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see if this will be another Barbie, or if it'll just be another flop as we get almost every week nowadays in the box office. Challengers has now opened. The new Zendaya film has received a B+ cinema score. For those who don't know what cinema score is, they poll people right as they're walking out of the theater from watching the film, and they ask them what rating would they give it. People have now chosen a B+. B+ is an amazing score. Anything B+ or higher is a good score. B or B-, that's when you need to start worrying. But as you see, Zendaya does not need to worry. It has a domestic opening in the US of $15 million and a worldwide opening of $25 million. So it has already made half of its budget back in just the opening weekend. What we need to see is what would the drop be for the second weekend. If it drops anywhere in the 60s, that would be a huge problem. A lot of blockbusters nowadays drop in the 50s and 60s, but with a low opening, it could spell trouble for Zendaya's new titular film. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But from what I am seeing, this might be Zendaya's year, with Dune being a huge juggernaut at the box office for this year, and now this film looking to get her some awards chances. Maybe not Oscars, but at least Golden Globes and other titular awards. I do believe this is Zendaya's year, and I am very excited to see where her career will go next, and expect a review of Challengers on the channel very soon. Now that we've covered the news for tonight, I will pass it on to Luis Rivera for the sports section.
Sir, we don't have a sports section.
The fuck you mean we don't have a sports section?
It's comic book movie news.
Do you know who the fuck I am? I worked with Ron Burgundy back on Channel 6 News. I deserve fucking better than this. What kind of fucking channel news team doesn't have a fucking sports section? What the fuck? Hello everyone, I'm Luis Rivera, and welcome to the comic book film section of The Road Report. In this week's comic book film news, we have Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4. Following the huge success that was Spider-Man No Way Home back in December of 2021, Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures have already started working on Spider-Man 4. The only problem is there has been a lot of turmoil between what Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures have wanted to do with the film. Sony Pictures has looked into doing another multiversal story, adding Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield once again, while Marvel Studios wants to go grounded, do a civil war on the streets with vigilantes, and maybe even including Daredevil and Kingpin. Apparently there has been a compromise between the two. We do not know what that compromise is, but we do know they are very close to finishing the script. But there has been no director announced for Spider-Man 4. We don't even have a title either. But as for the directors, Justin Lin and Drew Goddard have been in contention for the film, but they have moved on to other projects. Drew Goddard has moved on to The Matrix, while Justin Lin have moved on to Naruto. We now know that those two are no longer chances for the director of this film. But we have new rumors, with Sam Raimi from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man franchise in contention to direct Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4, which would basically be full circle. He never got to make Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire, but now he makes Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland. Some people have gone against this rumor, as people want him to make Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 4 and don't think he should direct Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4. But I believe it would be a good idea, bringing that Tobey Maguire flavor into Tom Holland. What I'm scared of is that it will not merge well. Tom Holland has a very distinct vibe that, while can be switched with a new director, having to jump from John Watts over to Sam Raimi might be too big of one. So maybe it's better for Sam Raimi to stick with the Doctor Strange films. But he's not the only rumored director. The directors of Dungeons & Dragons, Goldstein and Francis, directing duo, are also in contention. If you did not see, back a couple years ago, there was a Dungeons & Dragons film starring Chris Pine. That film, in my opinion, was one of the biggest surprises of the year. I went into it thinking it would be an okay, fun film, and then ended up being a huge blast. And I think they have the perfect vibe that would match Tom Holland's Spider-Man in this new position that he is in. As while they were very comedic, they can also do very dramatic, and they can do a lot of great action, which is what I think you need for Tom Holland's new trilogy. So if they are picked, I think it will also be great choices. Of course, it doesn't matter that it has to be one of these choices, as we do not know everything that is happening behind the scenes. For all we know, tomorrow the director could be announced, and it could be someone we never thought of. It could be John Watts returning. Hopefully not. As much as I did like John Watts, I would like a new person to come in and put in their new vision on Spider-Man 4. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see what Marvel Studios decides. Our second news of today. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are coming back to live action. They just had a very successful animated film with Nickelodeon and Seth Rogen producing. Of course, this Seth Rogen also produced Invincible and The Boys for Amazon Prime as well as Gen V, and did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem animated film. The animated film was a huge success. Well, not a huge success, but for the time, it was a very good success, and they are already working on a sequel with Shredder as the main villain. But there has not been a live action Turtles movie in theaters since Michael Bay's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. Of course, with them being fully CGI. Now, there will be not only a live action film, but it will be based on the best-selling comic, The Last Ronin, which it will be R-rated. It will be the first R-rated TMNT project in live action or animation. With the rumor being that the 90s suits will be coming back. Of course, modernized with today's technology, but it will basically be what happened to those 90s turtles. If you've seen the original film, it was very violent for its time, with parents even complaining about the violence, making them make a TMNT 2 and 3 much kiddish. In TMNT 2, they barely had their weapons because of how much parents complained of the violence. So I think making that full circle and making these turtles R-rated in the Last Ronin story would be great. For those of you who do not know what the Last Ronin story is, there's only one turtle remaining. We don't know which turtle it is. If you've read the story, you do know by the end, but the whole mystery is which turtle survived. All three other brothers died in battle in a huge war, and only one turtle is left, the Last Ronin. The whole mystery of the movie will be finding out who this Ronin is, and for all we know, it could connect to the 90s films. I hope so, as I would love to see a modern take on these suits come back and finally finish that story of the 90s Turtles. Finally, for the superhero section today, we have Kraven the Hunter, delayed again. This film was supposed to come out on October 6, 2023, but when the SAG strike started, literally almost a month before this film came out, it was delayed to August 30th, 2024. Now, we are in April 2024, and the film has been delayed again to December 13, 2024. What is happening, Tony? Are you trying to hide this film from us? Is it that bad? Daniel RPK, a very reliable scooper, has been saying that apparently this and Venom 3 have come out very great, and that apparently Sony will be surprised that they finally have good films, especially after Morbius and Madam Web. But nobody knows what's happening here. Why is it being delayed again? Nobody knows. All we know is that the film is R-rated and it's now coming out in December, if not delayed for a fourth time. But could it be that they're eliminating Easter eggs to Spider-Man, or maybe adding them? As you can see down here, this is concept art for a scene that was supposed to be in Madam Web, confirming that Tom Holland was the Spider-Man of their universe, bringing him in through the multiverse with a new suit for the Sony universe. But when Sony and Marvel came back together after they had separated for a while during the pandemic, this was eliminated. It was supposed to be in the film till the last minute, and then Tom Holland refused. Kevin Feige said no, Tom Holland said no, Sony ended up saying, okay, we'll cut it out. Madam Web was originally supposed to be a very Terminator-style plot, with them going to the past to kill baby Peter Parker, which is why Peter Parker's mom and dad are in the film along with Uncle Ben, as they were supposed to actually be the main characters, while they were eliminated for the other girl, Spider-Woman. So, we do not know what's happening here. For Morbius, there were many Spider-Man Easter eggs that were removed. For Madam Web, a whole storyline was removed. So for all we know, Kraven the Hunter is right now in the editing room, having a lot of Easter eggs and a lot of scenes being cut out of the film. And now with the R rating, especially then, they're probably eliminating a lot of the Spider-Man, as I don't believe that Marvel would want Spider-Man in an R-rated movie. As for Venom 3, that is also coming out very soon, we do not know. For all we know, it could connect. It could be a Spider-Man versus Venom film. I very much doubt it. Do not put your hopes up for that. But for all we know, that one also is having a lot of scenes removed. We don't know what's happening. Hopefully, we'll get to see this movie at some point. And as long as that's an improvement on Madam Web, which is not going to be very hard, I'll have fun with it. It's R-rated. It's Aaron Taylor Johnson. It's Craven the Hunter. Hopefully it'll be fun, and we'll just have to wait and see. And that is the superhero news for this week. I'll now pass it back to Luis to close us out. And that was this week's Real Report. Hopefully by next week we will have a weatherman to do the box office weather. This week we still have not found one. And I have also fired that intern that talked back to me about the sports section. Not my problem that my contract said this would be a real news channel, not a YouTube channel. But moving past that, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video and that you will like and subscribe to Avalon Studios as more content is coming very soon. So whenever you're watching this, I wish you good morning, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.